fear in life as a young woman was I didn't want to be the statistic. I didn't want to be what everybody said that I should end up as, right?
Okay. Welcome, Danay. Thank you so much for being on the Dalitalks show.
I'm so happy to be here. We've known each other for so long, and I'm just thrilled you asked me to come on. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we met through Latinas Think Big, and you posted on there, hey, join my Latina Meetup, and I did. And that's how we began chatting. So thank you for that. So I wanted to bring you on to the show because I just love everything that Danay is. You are such an inspiration and a huge role model. As when I was a little quieter and not really chiming in, I would just watch everything that you're doing and learn from you. And I feel like everybody who ends up meeting you and getting to know you feels the same way. So tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background and what it is that you do today.
Sure. Well, thank you for that. That's kind of hard to follow up. So I am a proud Latina immigrant entrepreneur. And I say that because I'm proud of all those things. I'm proud of being a Latina, I'm proud of being an immigrant, and I'm proud of being an entrepreneur. I run a digital agency named Luna Soul Media, and we connect brands to multicultural consumers. And that has led me to really have an understanding of just how important Latinos are to the market, right? We represent over 2 trillion in GDP. We would be like the 7th largest economy right after France if we were considered a country. So, we have all of this power, but we don't really know about it, or we don't harness it and use it to elevate ourselves when we're talking wealth and influence as a community, as a collective. So that has led me to create community around that to elevate Latinos and to really get us to help each other out, whether it's through networking, grant opportunities, leveling up your education, your job. So yeah, that's kind of who I am. I'm a person who sees something and is on a mission to just illuminate it for everybody so that we can act on the opportunities that we have and create more opportunities for each other.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that you're always giving people an opportunity. And I think that's what attracts so many people. But just to give people a little background about how you got started early on, let's talk about maybe earlier in the years, maybe high school, college years, so that people can understand, how your background played into what you do now.
Absolutely. So, so this is something that I never talk about. A lot of people don't know this. I actually dropped out of high school in my senior year, about 3 months before graduation. I came from what one would call a broken home. There was a lot of dysfunction, and unfortunately, I had to leave home early, and that meant leaving high school. I got my GED, and that, I was an honor student. I got the Student of the Year award in 11th grade. So wow. I wasn't struggling, with school. I was struggling emotionally and being able to manage all of that as a young woman. And I ended up getting my GED and going to college. I was able to get a scholarship my first year for journalism, which was my love, my passion. And so that basically, what I'm trying to say with that is that that was my first epic failure. And it has been a theme in my life, which is I fail. And when I fail really hard. But I learned to just get up and try again and go for it again. Because my biggest fear in life as a young woman was I didn't want to be the statistic. I didn't want to be what everybody said that I should end up as, right? Coming in as an immigrant, growing up in the projects, coming from a broken home, And I just didn't want to be that statistic that everybody said, the movies everywhere that you would see at that time. That was what I was supposed to be. And I was like, no, man, I'm smart. I'm driven. There's no way that I can be that. And so that theme, followed me throughout my life. And I would have epic failures. And for example, my first business was with my brother, may he rest in peace, my big brother, Gene, who was my mentor. And our first business was an internet cafe. We had no idea what we were doing. We both worked at jobs, but all the money that we made, we would throw into this internet cafe. It was in the middle of nowhere. We had no idea that, we needed to have good foot traffic. We had no idea that, we needed to have a target market, none of that. We were just like, yeah, we're going to open up a store and everybody's going to flock to it. So 2 years later, we're broke. The place is broke, and we had to shut our doors. But again, that was, that was a learning experience. It was a failure, but with every failure, you gain something out of that. And so that failure taught me I really need to focus on my target market and learn about who I'm supposed to target. I really need to worry about the location. If I'm going to, if I'm going to pay for a location, I need to make sure that it's serving me and the goals of the business. So we opened up a second business, and it was very, very successful. In that business, it was called Zebra Computers, and it was a web development, web design firm. And that really was successful for us for several years up until 9/11. And we did amazingly well for two young 20-somethings who had no business background and, nobody to kind of guide us and take us through that. So after that, I went into the startup space, and I really, really was passionate about internet marketing, about SEO marketing. This was before even Google existed, right? The search engines were Yahoo, Alta Vista, things that, Alta Vista doesn't even exist anymore. And Yahoo, who goes to Yahoo for a search engine anymore, right? Yeah. So, I got into the startup space, and I learned really quickly, and I made a bunch of great connections. And that's kind of where my career took a really good trajectory, where, I learned about growth. I learned about venture capital. I learned about so many things. And it got me to where I am. Eventually, I got tired of working for somebody else, and the entrepreneur in me really, really wanted to do something. And about 11 years ago, I launched my own digital agency, and here I am ever since.
Wow. So, okay, I'm taking notes because I'm going to forget.
There's a lot there.
It is. It's so good. Okay, so thank you so much for mentioning that you did not graduate high school, and this is important because so many children, due to certain circumstances, like yours, they feel like they have to drop out for their mental health or for whatever reason. And society tends to have this stigma, and they convince people that people without a high school diploma are not able to achieve huge things. And you totally debunk that. And I love that. And you're not the only one. I know several other very successful people who don't have an education. I mean, they didn't even make it to high school. Some have a less an education than junior high, and they're successful because education in the traditional sense is not really what defines us, right? It's other ways. Like especially nowadays, we have access to Google and a lot of classes that are offered in many different platforms. So it's all about the person.
Sorry, that's my puppy. No worries. Noises.
No worries. But yeah, it depends on how willing you are to learn on your own without the instruction of a traditional teacher. So thank you so much again for mentioning that. The other thing that you mentioned is that you didn't want to be a statistic. And let me tell you, that resonates so much with me because I am the oldest child of 6. And by the time I was 14, my parents divorced, separated. And that was a blessing for us because we lived in a violent home. And everybody looked at my mom and she's like, ay, tienes 5 hijas, ¿cuál va a meter la pata? You know, like which one's going to get knocked up and with the bad husband and all of this, you know? So I remember feeling that, oh no, I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't, you know, I was trying to walk that straight line and be smart about the choices in my life to not become that negative statistic. And I think that in a way, because you mentioned something in here, like you said, that you opened your business with your brother. And, you know, being that young, you said you were early 20s, right?
I was 23. He was, excuse me, 24 and a half. We were a year and 6 months apart. So,
okay. Yeah. So that is two really young people just going for it. And while you might not have known it then, there's got to be a certain level of confidence to do that. And I think that's kind of like a blessing in disguise when you're young. You're just fearless. Part of it is because you have no idea how you could fail, but you two just went for it. So I love that. And not knowing how that was going to teach you a lesson, it's very obvious that it taught you a lot. So thank you for sharing that. And one of the things that I noticed is that from the beginning, you and your brother started something related to tech. So tell us what was it that attracted you to technology?
Oh my gosh. So I'm so happy you asked me that. So I tell you about my brother because he was my mentor. He was amazing in my life. You know, everybody talks about there has to be this one person in your life that is that person that believes in you blindly. So that was my big brother, Gene. He was a tech wizard. He was brilliant. I mean, he was the kid that when he was 5 years old, he took apart an entire radio and put it all back together again, and it worked. Mm-hmm. So he was that kid. There's my puppy. So he was just a total wizard. And I was more into journalism, reading. You know, I was the kid who read like a book a day easily. I loved reading. I loved writing. Not so much tech. Tech made me scared. I was scared of tech. To me, tech meant math, and I hated math as a kid. I was the other brain, right? And so, you know, he kept on telling me, sis, you got to learn tech. You got to learn tech. You're going to love it. And I was like, no, I'm not really into it. Not really into video games. You know, I'll stick with my books and my writing. And then in high school, you know, he was like, sis, you got to get into tech. And I mean, he had this teacher, I'll never forget, Mrs. Zayas. She really believed in him because before high school, he was a wreck. He was ADHD. He was brilliant. And so nobody understood him. He did terrible in school because all he cared about was building computers, taking them apart, creating stuff, programming. And there was nothing in school like that when we were kids. Like that was what? And so this teacher really believed in him. He became like the president of the Future Business Leaders of America for our school. And like, he was insanely brilliant and driven. I mean, if you think I'm driven, he like smoked me. And he kept on telling me. And so one day in my senior year after high school, when he was in the computer lab, I was after school with him because he was my ride. And I did not feel like walking the 1.5 miles home that day. And he just said, look, just take this workbook and sit down, read it, and see what you think. And so I took it, and it was a book about word perfect in DOS.
Oh my gosh.
And I went through the whole thing and learned the entire, like it was like a semester's worth of reading. And I started working it and did everything. And like, I learned it and I loved it. I was like, what? This is what you're talking about? And so he gave me another book the next day and another booklet the next day. And I learned every single program, Lotus 123 and DOS and Windows, when Windows first came out, and all of the programs with Windows. And I just was like, oh, this is tech. And then I started, you know, getting online. And I mean, getting online back then was like getting on the BBSs. Like there was no America Online, there was no anything. There was no real internet. And my first year of college was when really the internet was a thing, and there was AOL, America Online, and I created my first website in like HTML 1.0. The browser was Mosaic. All there was clickable text. There wasn't even images. And ever since then, I just stayed on top of it, and anything that came out, I learned it. And, you know, I love learning. So that was a plus with tech. And eventually I made my way over into the digital marketing side of things, which was where I really, really thrived and loved, you know, and kind of mixed my love of journalism, marketing, and tech. And so that's kind of the trajectory.
Wow. Wow. I love this. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited because I'm thinking of like how I can influence a certain somebody in my life to dive in. Because, you know, when you know somebody would do so well, but they're so stubborn, just like you were, and you're like, how can I get them to just get a little taste of it and see if they can roll with it and just, you know, do something amazing? Because I think that this person would. So going back to that story, if you were to recommend a book right now to a young person to inspire them to go either into affiliate marketing or anything in tech, do you have a book in mind that just pops up right away?
So I would not recommend a book. I would recommend, are you familiar with Khan Academy?
Yes, I love it.
Okay. I do too. I do too. So Khan Academy has a lot of courses for programming where they just go through like the essentials and break it down into like the building blocks, which is really cool when you understand, you know, things like, well, what is a variable, you know, and how to create scripts, just like the basics, and loops and what are they? What do they do? Just things like that they kind of like, you know, that light bulb goes off in your head and you don't feel dumb about something, you actually understand it. I think things like that are really good places to send someone to learn, you know, about technology, whether it's, and there are so many different things, programming, you know, the marketing side of MarTech, ad tech, digital tech, whatever you want to call it, social media is a whole other monster. Each different platform is a thing unto itself. So I think just the building blocks, just getting somebody to understand the building blocks is really, really important, because if you understand those, you don't feel, it's not so daunting when you want to learn something else. So I love Khan Academy. I think that's a great place to send someone if it's tech that they're interested in.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. The other thing I want to point out is that you mentioned that you didn't want anything to do with tech because you thought of it as math. And it's funny because I actually think that way of tech. It intimidates me too. And it sounds really scary. And like you said, Khan Academy made me see that it's not as bad as it seems. Because I think I took last summer a coding class. And I was so surprised that I actually got it really, really fast. And I think it all depends on how it's taught, you know, very simple, and the instructor matters. But the other thing that you mentioned is that you were going more towards journalism, and that you had that brain, the journalism brain. Your brother had that tech brain, which you ended up complementing one another. So I just want to point that out, because there are so many kids that have that mentality about, oh no, tech's not for me, or I'm not good at math, I'm not going to go into tech, and they automatically rule themselves out. And that's a really big missed opportunity. So
it is.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit now about the other side of what you do, because you do affiliate marketing, you have your amazing company, and it's been doing really well. But you also have this magical power to bring people together and make connections. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, you know, it's funny because people keep on asking me, well, how do you create these communities? How do you get people interested in you? And I'm like, they're not interested in me. It's not about me. I actually get pretty embarrassed, like when the light's shining on me, when I'm on a stage, when I get nervous. I don't want to be the center of attention. I think the really big part of it that is what creates community is that I like to focus on people. I like to get to know about people, and I like to see people shine, and I like to connect people with each other. So people feel that, I think they feel that when they feel like somebody wants you to shine, they get it. It makes them feel good. People want to be heard. People want to be seen. Right now, we have the largest Latino community on Clubhouse, right? Which is this brand new app. It's still in beta. It's an amazing place for people to connect. And the reason that community is there is because I don't want to sit there and talk for 20 hours to everybody. I don't want to be heard. I want to see other people. I want to learn about them. I want to see what they have to offer others. There are connections there to be made. It's all there for us, like, to just see and experience. And so, for me, it's about shining the light on the community and letting people shine. And I think that's what's resonated with everybody, is that they get to shine. And it's the same thing with the Latina Meetup community. My goal with Latina Meetup was always celebrate, elevate, and connect Latina professionals. And so we would do these events, and we would have this event tour in different cities. And the goal was to find Latina change makers in each city, and not not a J-Lo, not a Sotomayor. Those women are epic and they're amazing and they should be celebrated. But so should the woman that has, a little program that's serving her local community that she's serving with, right? There are so many women who are serving, who are leading charges, who are making changes, who are mentoring, that we should be celebrating as well, not just the J-Los and the Sotomayors and all of the giants, because generally that woman has much more of an impact on her small community that she's helping than J-Lo really does on that small community. You know what I'm saying? Music is beautiful. It's wonderful. We need entertainment, but we also need those mentors that are like right there on the ground, like boots on the ground, helping people one by one. And so I think that resonates with people. I think people see, okay, we are awesome. We are strong. We are amazing as Latinos, Latinas. And it's time for us to connect, to help each other, to share, and to really focus on that. And so that's my spiel.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned about the connections. And yes, I have noticed that you get a little uncomfortable when the spotlight is on you.
Just a little.
But even that, people love that about you, because it just shows that you're your real self. You're also not afraid to show it, which is a strength, because you become vulnerable with all of us. And people love having a leader that is like, hey, look at her. She is doing these amazing things, and yet she's still showing her very human side. And it's very much appreciated, because you're role modeling the type of leaders that well, at least that I want to be. And the other thing too is that you mentioned that people are not interested about you. They're interested about being heard, being seen. And I definitely agree that you do provide that platform really, really well. And I think that's what makes people fall in love with you, because when we think about successful people in any type of field, people always worry about, well, okay, the people up top are just about themselves. They're not going to give me that spotlight so that I can show my potential or what I'm able to do. So when people find you, they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because that characteristic in a leader is actually rare, I would say, especially nowadays, because our world has become so competitive that everybody's kind of guarding whatever they have, right? So that they don't get knocked down. And instead, they should be more inclusive and say, hey, let's do this together. So thank you for sharing about that. And the other thing you mentioned is your Latina Meetup. So tell us a little bit more about Latina Meetup. Do you meet in person? I know that right now with COVID, things are different. So how do you meet with the women, and what can people expect from those meetups?
So Latina Meetup is an event tour, and I am praying that we can get back to that as soon as possible, as soon as it's safe for everybody, right? Latina Meetup started in 2018, and it started with just one event in Washington, D.C. I just wanted to get together with a bunch of my Latina professional friends and colleagues and have them invite their friends. And I thought, we were going to have like a group of 15 people get together, maybe have some cocktails, have dinner, and, send leads back and forth and ask each other, well, how can I help you? Well, how can I help you? Well, this is what I'm looking for. And I put out, I just put some posts on social media, and our first event in Washington, D.C., we had like 60 something ladies show up, and I was floored. I was like, oh, okay, there's a need here. So the next one, so I created a community in Facebook, and, we started growing there, and we have a newsletter and a website, and it started like to come together in my mind. Okay, this is what's missing. We're missing celebrating local change makers. This is what's missing. We're missing a place to connect. We're also missing a place where we can all kind of sample Latina products and get to know Latina creators so that we can support their businesses. And so the next event we did in New York City, about 3 months afterwards or 4 months afterwards, I got sponsors. Ford Latino has been a sponsor of most of our events. They've been wonderful. And we have several brands that really are serving the Latino community. And so we partner with them, and that enables us to have these events for free, so that we have literally hundreds of women showing up. We have cocktails. We do we do probably about 30 minutes of just introducing our honorees, right? They're local change makers that we find. And we let them talk about their causes. And then we have goodie bags from Latina creators and brands that, that have been wonderful to help us out. And then we just do a bunch of networking, and we have, every single thing that is at the events is supplied by a Latina businesswoman. And that means the bartending service, the location, the caterers, everything. We have free photography sessions so that every woman there can get a free headshot, because a professional headshot is important and you want to refresh it at least once a year. So we do that as well. All of it just about Latina professionals celebrating, elevating, and connecting us. And the events have been amazing. I miss them tremendously, and I hope to start having them again. In the meantime, we've pivoted to virtual, so we get together once a month. We do a happy hour networking session on Zoom the third Thursday of every month. And, we have prizes, and we do networking, and we play a game. Like last month, we had Familia Feud. Sometimes we play 5 seconds. Sometimes we play 2 Lies and a Truth. Just fun ways to get together. No webinar, no learning, just hanging out with your amigas and doing some networking while you're having fun.
Yeah, those are very fun. Oh my gosh. And those games, they can get competitive, but I love it. In good spirit, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Man, I did not know that you had actually met up in person, and it sounds so amazing. I would love to participate, especially now that I'm back in the East Coast. But for those who are in the West Coast and are watching this, they're like, dang, I want to hang out with Danay. Are you going to plan anything in the West Coast in the future?
Yes, we were actually planning to go to the West Coast this year, 2021. We were going to actually do Texas. We were looking at which city in Texas would be the best one, because we have so many Latinas, obviously, Latinas in Texas that are like, come here. So we were planning Texas, and we were planning LA. Mm-hmm. And hopefully 2022 will be the year where we can add Texas and LA and continue DC, Chicago, Miami. What else? We were adding Atlanta in 2020. So we'll add Atlanta there, and New York City, of course.
Yes, of course, the Big Apple.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Wow, that's great. So then if people want to check out your events, where can they go and check them out?
They can go to latinameetup.com. And there you can see all the links to the Facebook group. You can sign up to the newsletter. We do a weekly newsletter, which has all Latina events. And it also has grant opportunities. It has job opportunities, and it also has the Help an Amiga section where we focus on a couple of women from the Facebook group who have a specific ask that we do every Thursday. And we try to get everybody to support that specific initiative. So it's latinameetup.com. Please sign up. We don't spam you. We send you once a week newsletter with all of the stuff that helps you elevate.
Wonderful. And lastly, what about the Amigos Club?
Oh my gosh. So Amigos, like I was saying, is this club that we have on Clubhouse. It's the biggest Latino club right now. As of this recording, we're at 24,000 members and followers, wow, which is crazy to even think about because it's really only been around for, a couple of months. And we have a great group of moderators and admins that help us create rooms around topics that Latino professionals think are important to them. So, anything we have our 10 a.m. networking sessions every single day, Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We all get together at 10 a.m. and people come up. We welcome new members. We talk about what everybody has going on, and it's just a place for everybody to connect. And again, just help elevate our community.
Wonderful. And I think there's one more thing I want to touch on before we go, the directory, because I feel like the directory is so important especially for people like me who live in a predominantly non-Latino or Latinx community. And I'm always looking for somebody in my area to give them my business.
Yes. So we have a directory called the amigos.club. And it was created because as of this recording in Clubhouse, you have no way really to connect with people outside of Clubhouse other than to DM them on Instagram or Twitter. And I just thought it was, important for us to have a place where everybody could go list themselves, what they do, and it has a section where it says what you're looking for. So if you have a specific ask, let's say, you're writing an article and you need, a few people to give you comments or a quote, or you have a podcast and you're looking for specific guests or anything really. And then it has this is what I can offer section where you talk about things that you can offer other people, whether it's, ghostwriting services or hairdresser or whatever that you do. And it's just a place for us to find each other and continue the work of networking and, really, really doing what we need to be doing, which is supporting each other.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. That's such a good resource for people like me who are always looking for somebody to do from dog grooming to having my hair cut. So thank you so much. Thank you for sharing about your background, how you got into marketing and creating Luna Soul Media, and for creating spaces for Latinx people to come and connect and like you said, elevate. So thanks again, Danay, and I'll be seeing you around Clubhouse and Latina Meetup.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I definitely will be hanging out together soon.
Yes. Wow. I love talking with Danay. She is amazing. Everything that she does, everything that she puts out, you can feel that it is intended to elevate others. So please do take advantage and join the Amigos group in Clubhouse. If you like this video, please subscribe. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please click that little bell so you are alerted every time a new video is published. And please come on to Dalitalks.com to subscribe to my newsletter so that you can get free resources, know what is going on with Dalitalks, and so that you learn about upcoming events and upcoming guests. All right, so then that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.